Hey everyone, I wanted to talk a little bit about body hatred. And I'm not necessarily talking specifically about being transgender or queer or having an addiction or cutting or eating disorders or any of those things that people commonly think of when they focus on dysphoria or hatred of the body. I've been thinking a lot about culture as a whole and how it contributes to body hatred, especially North American culture, US culture, all the ways that advertisers feed into our anxieties around our body size or our level of ability or our skin tone, whether or not we're the right age. All of those things that cause us to question on a daily basis whether or not we are doing enough to maintain this physical shell that we're living in. One of the things that I actually like about being part of this project on YouTube is that it's making me think about my trans experience in a broader sense. You know, when I think about dysphoria, I'm thinking about, well, it's because I'm trans, you know. But really, no, it's because I was socialized as a woman for 40 years, and women are taught that their bodies, their level of attractiveness is all that really kind of matters. If you grew up in certain parts of the world, especially Western society, you have to be a certain size, and it's a really narrow range of what's acceptable if you're male or female. You're really only considered attractive or fashion magazine worthy if you are age 16 to 22. Increasingly, for women, you also have to be both skinny and voluptuous, which is really crazy because that just doesn't happen naturally for most people. So, what we're seeing obviously is a lot more plastic surgery. The anxieties seem to be moving into male experience as well. When I was doing my clinical residency, now this is quite a few years ago in Philadelphia, I was already seeing a lot of guys coming in with eating disorders. Half of my eating disorder patients were male. It was remarkable to me just to notice over a period of just a few years of my clinical training how many more men were dealing with body anxieties. What are the ways that you detach or dissociate from your body on a daily basis? And this is another thing that I think is really sick about American culture. And it's certainly been a sickness in my own life that I'm trying to address. To what degree do you use food or alcohol or caffeine or cigarettes or television or spending or thrill seeking? What are you doing to escape your body? What are you doing to escape the anxiety or the chatter in your brain, the feelings that you have about your sexuality? There's a lot of anxieties if you're male or female focused around your genitalia and whether or not you can perform, whether or not people will find that attractive or want to be with you. A lot of kids, when they're exploring their sexuality and their orientation, are oftentimes under the influence of substances. Because there's something very, very frightening about being vulnerable with people in that way or expressing certain desires. So, does that put you at certain risk? Does it make people ignore certain boundaries, sexually? Does it make you more open to getting STDs? What are the ways that you try to escape your body? And in some ways, I think that's really normalized in our culture. And what are some of the ways that you counteract all the negative conditioning that you're getting from the culture about your body? What are things that you do to feel really comfortable in your own skin? What are things that you do to feel positive and powerful and in control of your sexuality? Those are questions that I would love to ask.
All right. Hey, everyone. Love the topic, Carson. This is something I've thought about quite a few times before. I've actually even made a personal video touching on the subject a little bit. And I love how you bring up shell, the shell that we inhabit, that we present to the world, because that is something I completely, I agree with. It is just a shell, and what can we do to cope with how the shell doesn't match us? So, you asked a few questions throughout your video that you were always looking for answer-wise. And how do you get away from your body? How do you escape the reality that is the shell with its dysphoria causing the whole disconnect between what we perceive ourselves to be and what the world perceives this shell is all that they see. And it's one of those things that I've talked about before with yes, trans issues and dysphoria is one major thing that come up when dealing with not liking your body. Then there's people who have diseases, skin disorders, people who have their bodies are completely failed them, and they Stephen Hawking, for instance, who obviously a great mind, but talk about body hatred shell wise and is completely flawed. It's just one of those. It's a tough thing to look into, because while there are becoming more and more ways of things you can do medically to fix the shell, it's not always something that's possible for people. So there are many ways that people use to escape and try to put it out of their heads that they have to deal with this on a day-to-day, hour-to-hour basis. There's got to be ways to ignore it or to move on. And some people will. Well, for instance, I actually wrote a few poems at one point. There's the artistic route, thinking about it in other terms. I wrote a really quick one several months ago, which I'll just really quickly read. Psoriasis is a disease that makes you wear masks. Masks that hide what you hate. Masks that cover up the ugliness. Masks that allow you to go out into the world and feel somewhat normal. Masks are full of shit. My beard is a mask. My clothes are a mask. My makeup is a mask. My smile is a mask. How do you let go of what you hate? How do you strip away those masks? How do you find peace with yourself? How do you learn to smile for real? How? I wrote this, like I said, many months ago, when still, I'm still dealing with, but when it got bad, the whole body hatred that I was dealing with that disease. But the same thing, like I said, can be applied to anyone dealing with body image or dysphoria when it comes between what they think they should be and what they are. So, other escapes though. Another one that I've noticed is rather popular, and I do myself. A lot of people now will escape into gaming. I mean, it's become kind of the new modern thing, is these MMORPGs like World of Warcraft or other online games where you can present a virtual self that you can role play with. For instance, I have a female character on World of Warcraft because at the time it's not something I'm not there yet when it comes to the shell, but it's something interesting that you can use as an escape mechanism. Clothing. Clothing is definitely something people use to escape. I know I wear clothing to, as a mask to cover up things when it comes to body image that don't work for me, like my skin, as well as other attributes I'm not happy with, that I can't do anything about yet. Drugs and alcohol, it's another escape. It's not necessarily as healthy as, just changing your hair, changing your clothes, putting on some makeup. But it's a way to deal with the world, whether good or bad. It can help people be at peace for brief periods of time. And honestly, other things I've done to ignore the shell is I've really, the media nowadays is bad when it comes to body image, although it's surprisingly starting to get better, but in small little doses. Overwhelmingly, it's just. Carson's absolutely right. It's everywhere and unrealistic. Personally, I don't have TV. I canceled it. I get TV and movies that I want to watch through Netflix and Hulu, and you don't get nearly as much bombarded with ads that way. But that is not for everyone. It's hard. It's a world that is very much so still focused on the shell and how you look equals how it equals like your status equals how people will perceive you, and that's unfortunately not changing anytime soon. We can try as much as we can, but it's a tough one. Someday one will hope that how you look doesn't equal you, but for now, it's something people have to deal with, and it can be extremely tough and extremely frustrating. Anyway, that's about it. Thanks. Bye.
Hello, it's JFrank. I just wanted to start by commenting on what Andie said. I just think it's awesome that you got rid of your TV subscription and aren't doing that anymore. I have never had TV, and it was always, in my childhood, kind of a weird thing to have to explain to people, yeah, we don't have TV, and people would be like, you don't have a TV, and we're like, no, we just don't get TV. It's hard to it's sometimes hard to explain to people, but it's like at this point there's so much that you can access with the internet alone that it's like, yeah, you miss out on some things, and but you can get almost everything. Not almost everything. I mean, enough. You can get enough. There's so much out there. You can never watch everything that's out there, so you can get enough. And I think that brings up a good point. That I think it's one of the things about body image is to realize that it's so important what kind of messages you're consuming, and that you do have some level of control over the kinds of things that you see and you read and you hear. There's a lot of negative messages. Carson gave us some good examples of that. But it's really everywhere. It's in any kind of media and in a lot of the social interactions that we have. But I think for anyone who's struggling with body image issues, and I've struggled with body image issues, more so when I was closeted. It's definitely been quite a bit easier since then. Just getting out of that negative space has given me more perspective in my life and ability to accept myself for who I am. But if you're not in that position, if you're not able to come to that point, then really taking some control, I think, over the kinds of messages that you are exposed to. Obviously, you can't really control the people that you're around a lot of the time. But if you're seeing things on YouTube or on Facebook that you can feel, that make you uncomfortable and make you feel worse about yourself, unsubscribe from that channel or click away or unfriend that person or whatever it takes, because you're not going to feel better about yourself by exposing yourself to negative messages about your body and about what your body should look like. Because in the end, there's no one who can say the best way for your body to be than you, because ultimately your body gets to be the expression of who you are. I mean, as a person, you get to go through life and make decisions, and that's reflected in how you present yourself. And it's really cool. You're like you're a blank canvas. RuPaul always says, "You're born naked, and the rest is drag." And I really like that idea, because it's like you can perform whatever kind of thing you want, and it doesn't even have to be a performance. You can be as ridiculously flamboyant, or as straight-laced, or as bland, or as, ambiguous as you want. You can be really anything. And all it takes to pull that off is the knowledge that that's what is right for you, because it's what you want. And I don't mean that in like a privileged sort of sense, but really with your own body, it really is your privilege to treat it how you want. As long as, you're respecting other people's space. And I think my main point is that you can't spend your life trying to live up to someone else's idea of what you should look like, because that's impossible. The standard of beauty is ridiculously high and unattainable for almost everyone, and in the end, what really matters is whether or not you've accepted yourself, because it's what's truly beautiful in a person, I believe, is when they look in the mirror, they don't have to like what they see, but they accept what they see, and then they walk out the door, and they just sell it like they're the most fabulous fucking person in the world. And I think when you do that for long enough, it's like faking it until you make it. You believe that you are amazing, you are gorgeous, and you are. Because the secret to being gorgeous is believing it. Really. Because all the beauty anyone really needs is inherent to their humanity. You can't get better than that. No matter what it says in Vogue or in GQ. Thanks for watching. Bye.
Hi everyone! I was really looking forward to making this video response to Carson's video on body hatred, but now, hi Bo, I'm a little bit more nervous, to be honest. I watched Andie's video and JFrank's video, and I'm a little bit more unsure of what I'm going to say. Firstly, I just want to say about what Andie did with, the TV, and saying that she watches things on Hulu, that I'm really glad that works for her and she finds comfort in it. To be honest, that's something that I would disagree with to a certain degree. Yes, it is a good idea to have coping mechanisms to be able to maintain a level of comfort in your life, but I think hiding away from your triggers isn't going to be something that'll help you completely in the long run. I am somebody who has struggled with body hate, as I would say pretty much everyone in the world is. I've never liked the way I looked. I've always hated myself. There are so many other people who are in literally the exact same boat. And I think the best thing you can do for yourself is to work on it and learn to accept yourself and to love yourself. Sorry, I'm just moving about. I'm struggling a little bit. I personally feel that hiding yourself away from these triggers and from these, social constructs of beauty and perfection is not the best thing to do for yourself. I believe that self-love and self-acceptance is the greatest thing I've ever given myself, and I believe it's the greatest thing anyone else could do for themselves, especially somebody who hates themselves to the same degree or even more than I did. Fighting yourself away from the things that make you uncomfortable and the people and society that makes you uncomfortable will inevitably just cause you to become a hermit and will leave you unhappy. And what is the point of exchanging one type of unhappiness or discomfort for another? The goal of life is to be happy, right? I am very much a believer in long-term solution through love and acceptance. There's probably people watching this saying, oh, well, you know, it's easy for you to say, like, you don't understand how much, like, I hate myself, or how much I hate my body, or how much dysphoria I have. But I do, you know? I've spent many a year hating myself and know I'm not perfect, and like, there are 100 things I would change about myself if I could, but I don't need to, and I'm perfect the way I am. I'm fine the way I am, you know? I'm a kind, loving, compassionate person. I try to look after my body to the best of my ability. I'm loved. I love. You know, maybe I will never look the way that I feel I should in my head, but why should that stop me from being happy? I know that for me personally, one of the reasons that I really didn't like myself is because I felt that it was wrong for me to love myself or to care about myself. I felt like, you know, maybe that was something that society and my upbringing installed in me, that, you know, it was a bad thing for you to think that you're a good person, or that you're beautiful, or that you're attractive. I know that I really did struggle with that. I felt that to be a good person, you weren't allowed to like yourself, which is so ludicrous, because the more you like yourself and the more you accept yourself, the brighter your aura, the more positive the energy around you, and the more you can provide to the people around you. And learning that, you know, your body is a vessel that carries your soul, and valuing yourself on your soul and on your mind and on your heart and on your compassion and your love is so much more important than hating the outside. And another thing I just wanted to mention is, I can't remember, I think it was Andie said in her video that our outside is just, you know, our shell that we present to people. But another little disagreement I had, because it's not something that you are presenting to the world. That's not you presenting it. It's more other people receiving it. You know, you have no control over your shell, and other people have no control over theirs. It's only how you receive it. And maybe by all of us, you know, seeing it as just the outside of a beautiful soul, will eventually give way to people worrying a lot less about their body, because every body is perfect. Every single body is perfect, and we are so lucky. Like, I am so lucky. I've got, you know, a beautiful, perfect, healthy, working body. I'm not missing anything, and everything is exactly where it should be. And really, what more can I ask for? So just to answer Carson's question on things that we do to feel more comfortable in who we are, and with our body, I know that for me it took a lot of soul searching, it took a lot of learning, it took a lot of meditation, but that is something that I still sort of try to practice, is just to think about it over and over and over. Okay, no, that sounds weird. It sounds like I obsess over it, which I don't. Sorry, itchy foot. So, you know, it's just something that I do try to reevaluate constantly. And I feel that that is something that really does help me, is thinking, like, look at the people around me and look at how much I love them and how much value they hold in my life. Does that have anything to do whatsoever with the way they look, their body, how healthy they are, or, well, of course it has something to do with how healthy they are, how healthy in mind and in spirit, but you know, it doesn't have anything to do with if they're overweight or what their BMI is or if they've got spots or how their skin is. It's, you know, it's nothing to do with that. And I know I used to say, yeah, but that's just, you know, other people, like, I don't see other people the way they see me, like, and you know, people just pretend they don't see my flaws. It's just reminding yourself that it's all in your head, I guess. And yeah, everybody is perfect. The most important thing is to be kind and loving and caring and compassionate. And once you've got those things down, nothing else really matters. So that's my video, and I hope all you guys can, you know, look in the mirror and just feel a little bit better about yourself and love yourself a little more today than you did yesterday. And I hope this video isn't going to be real corny when I edit it. Bye!
Let's go out back and plant a